Welcome again to Amerex Connections, our podcast where we connect industry professionals in the field to our industry experts here at Amerex. Today we are talking to Ken Mier. Ken is the manager of our defense division here at Amerex. Ken, welcome. Tell us a little bit about your role and kind of how you got started with Amerex.
Thanks, David. Appreciate you having me on. My current role is being defense product manager. The role is to provide product for primarily ground vehicles, military armored vehicles with fire suppression, whether that's systems or hand portables.
Fantastic. All right, good. Now, you've been with Amerex for quite some time. Thinking back kind of to some of the early days with Amerex, what are some of the projects and things that you were involved with? And is there anything that was a particular challenge that stands out in your mind from those days?
Yeah, when I started, it's been over 30 years now, and I started as a product engineer in our engineering group. So I've worked on quite a few of the systems and products. Got involved early on with commercial vehicle systems, which was primarily systems for transit buses or off-road, like logging or forestry equipment. So that's kind of where I started in the product design area. Worked into some of the clean pre-engineered systems work, and then finally into the defense product around 2009.
Okay, fantastic. A lot of ground you had to cover there. Now, you were really instrumental in the development of our dry chemical industrial system. Is that correct?
Yeah, that was a fun project. I was primarily the engineer in charge with that and had a lot of free reign, and that's what I really enjoyed the most. It's one of the most memorable time periods within Amerex, to be able to know that the UL standard had just been revised and that we had our competitors to compare to. So really had the luxury of looking at what the market needed, what the standard required, and then having that good feedback from some of our core distributors. We had two big distributors in Texas who really coached me on what that vehicle paint spray booth system should do. And so I had a lot of fun with that, looking at what the competitors had done, and was able to implement a test plan and some designs that were hopefully useful.
Yeah, I can definitely attest to that. Yeah, definitely. The system that you developed has still to this day, it represents the standard for paint booths in our industry, hands down, without a doubt. You're currently with the defense group. How did that transition from the dry chemical engineer to the defense group occur?
Yeah, at that time, when we finished up the dry chem system, I spent some amount of time getting some feedback on how that had progressed. Went on into some clean agent work, and then was pulled in right in that 2009 timeframe when there was a lot of activity. The U.S. was involved in Afghanistan. There was a heavy ramp up of military vehicles and a requirement for fire suppression because of all the underbody blast that was happening. So we were called in, as part of our solution to provide a crew explosion suppression system. We also did a engine fire suppression system on that early MATV vehicle. So it was a very intense moment in time where there was a lot of activity, a lot of learning, and a lot of things we had to get up to speed with very quickly, as being new in this system. So.
Yeah. Now, one of the things I mentioned just a moment ago, your work in the dry chemical has really kind of set the standard still to this day. And one of the things that I've noticed is that we kind of are enjoying the fruits of your labor on the commercial side for things that were developed on the military side. So there's things that you came up with that we still get to see on the commercial side of our systems. like, for example, linear heat detectors. That's wonderful, wonderful advent.
Yeah. Some of these things get carried over, and that's always a good thing. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So yeah, vehicle systems, linear detection also translates into some particular uses let's say an engine system on a military vehicle.
Excellent, excellent. Now, since you've been around Amerex for quite some time, what are some of the most memorable moments you've had? You mentioned some of the testing that you enjoyed, but are there any things else that stand out in your memory?
Really, just being able to take a clean sheet of paper, I think be given the freedom to identify the problems and as well as the customer desires, and be able to try to just give them the freedom, say here it is, this is what we're trying to do, what can you do with it, and then being able to put that into something tangible that can be marketable. At the end of the day, we're a business. We want to provide a product that serves its need, that saves lives and property.
Fantastic. Now, you kind of just answered my next question a little bit, but what advice would you give someone new coming on board, either in our industry or specifically with Amerex? Is there anything you would share with that person?
I think just be curious. Don't assume that the things that have been done will dictate the way things will be done in the future. There's all kinds of new technologies in fire suppression, maybe not as quick as some of the other high tech industries, but it's there, and understanding the standards, from an engineering perspective, understanding how things are changing in the world of environmental pressures on clean agent gases, for example, that might drive a new technology for some other agent technology. So there's always things changing. We have to adapt, and we should always be looking for new solutions.
Absolutely. And of course, with our upcoming use of batteries, that's yet another field that needs to be conquered.
Exactly.
Now, I don't want to let a cat out of the bag. I don't know if this is common knowledge outside of Amerex, but you are coming up quickly on a well-earned retirement. Is that correct?
That's correct.
What do you plan on doing after Amerex?
Well, my wife will be working a few more years as a teacher. I've got a lot of hobbies, photography, many other things that I like to work with my hands. So I may find something as a side business, something where I can just enjoy my things that I love to do.
Excellent. Not gonna be at a loss for things to do, are you?
No.
You're certainly going to stay busy.
I don't think so.
Well, Ken, thank you for joining us, and personally for me, thank you for the time I've spent with you. It's
Yeah.
been delightful working with you for these past 18 years.
Pleasure, David.
Thank you so much, Ken.
Thank you.
And that is all the time we have today. Thank you for our guest joining us, Ken Mier, and thank you for joining us for Amerex Connections.